Hello, my name is George Edward Giunca, and I'm excited today because we've decided to put ourselves in front of the camera for once and tell you a little bit more about the type of work we do at 180 Books and explain why I use a circular fisheye lens for my photography. We've had this channel for more than a decade, so I guess it's about time, really. This should clarify some of the questions you have about our work. I hope it'll inspire you to express yourself in new ways and embrace change and follow your heart when new possibilities arise. I realized my dream by opening a studio of my own in Hollywood, California. I specialized in fashion, glamour, jewelry, and product photography, creating images for catalogs, posters, billboards, and magazine ads. Retouching and editing were quite expensive in those days, so I had to learn to control my lighting, adding cards and all kinds of different lights and go-go's here and there to bring out detail and texture. I pushed myself to find clients with different kinds of products. And I didn't shy away even from an occasional pet portrait. In those days, I never dreamed that I would be on the other side of the world one day, capturing images like this. As years passed, I seemed to be moving in three different directions. One, a move towards synthesizing natural environments, such as this work for jewelers and cosmetic companies. Another was experimental, using different types of film, such as polar pan, grainy film stock, painting with light, and in some cases, replicating the old Hollywood style of portraiture. And finally, surrealism, with my portfolio called Suspicious Devices. In this portfolio, I photographed strange objects that I had found in Hollywood thrift stores and flea markets, imagining how they would have looked in their past life. Here's some images of a branding iron, a 19th century tooth extractor, tongs, and even a glow-in-the-dark fly from that collection. I actually packaged this in a portfolio case with flashing red LED lights. It was a suspicious device and caused a bit of a stir at the Los Angeles advertising agencies. When my father died, I created a collection of images called Dead Flowers using a turbo filter, a device that used spinning filters and triggered lights to add atmosphere and depth. I'm always looking for new ways to express myself and make sense out of what is occurring in my life. In the 1990s, the photography industry was changing to digital photography. My beloved Hasselblad and 4x5 view camera were decidedly out of style. While I was calculating the cost of upgrading to digital photography, including buying a $30,000 camera with a resolution of 1.3 megapixels, I was hit with a serious case of wanderlust. I realized that I had already accomplished most of my goals as a professional studio photographer. At the same time, a group of Thai friends were planning to return to their own country, and they invited, if not dared me to join them. Soon, the thought of spending another 10 years inside my studio in Hollywood didn't excite me at all. I had no desire to do that same job, taking the same kind of pictures over and over. I don't remember many of the details, but I closed my studio, I put everything in storage, and the next thing I knew, I was waving goodbye to Los Angeles and headed for Bangkok, Thailand. I arrived at 2 a.m. and stayed up for the rest of the night. At last the sun came up and I snuck out of the homestay where I was living with some friends of friends, and I went down to the Chao Phraya River to catch a boat to go to the older section of Bangkok known as Rattanakosin Island. Seeing the centuries-old temple next to the giant skyscrapers thrilled me, and I thought, wow, I've got to photograph this exotic country. And that's what really started me on my journey to travel photographer. That day I walked past the spectacular Grand Palace, headed for the city pillar shrine. My Thai friends had told me that I should go there to pray to the guardian deity of Bangkok, who dwelt within, for protection and success. It wasn't until many years later that I retraced these first steps using a circular fisheye lens. This lens gave me superhuman vision and captured the feeling of excitement and discovery that I had felt that first day. Once again, a new world opened up for me, and I noticed details like the sacred geometry that supercharged the energy of the city pillar shrine, the rich beauty of the Thai Buddhist architecture at the Grand Palace and Temple of the Emerald Buddha, and the majesty of the Chao Phraya River. Here's how that happened. I bought a digital camera, I taught myself Photoshop, and I started to dutifully carry my camera everywhere I went as I traveled around Southeast Asia, trying to capture what I felt. I was experimenting with different lenses and techniques as I photographed scenery and people, including my future wife, Apisata. I was getting images I like, but I was still unable to capture what I felt. It was about this time that I experimented with a cheap auxiliary fisheye lens that I had. I hadn't used it since high school. In our yearbook, I made the school bus smile. At first, I didn't really believe that a fisheye lens was a perfect tool to use for my project of capturing the spirit of Thailand in a photo essay book. But as I continued and I got better at using the lens, and I could see before I photographed, I became quite impressed with the output of that lens. I love the way the fisheye lens showed the subject in the context of its surroundings. And soon I invested in a $1,300 lens. Just by tilting the lens, or changing the angle, or placing the subject in a different part of the lens, I could make a part of the subject come rushing out towards the viewer, creating an almost three-dimensional effect. At the same time, I could reduce the other elements in my image while still allowing them to add to the context and telling the story of the surrounding. I could also keep the horizon straight when necessary, resulting in an almost undistorted, serene image. The more I used the lens, the more I understood it and started to see subjects I usually wouldn't have noticed. Mastering this beast of a lens enabled me to show some of the most common and iconic subjects in a way that had never been seen before, and create incredible environmental portraits of people all over India and Myanmar and Thailand. When I considered how comparable the fisheye lens's field of view was to our human vision, yet how different, I realized how it had worked so well and how it was able to capture what I had felt but wasn't able to show with the normal lens. I think if you look at my work, you can see that I'm still a Hollywood glamour photographer at heart. I allow my subjects to be themselves and collaborate in their portrait. I don't hide and take sneaky images of downtrodden people with a long lens. I really think that's an invasion of privacy. In most cases, my subjects have a sense of how they want to be seen. When I first notice a potential subject, I study the lighting, I watch their action. Next, I approach them, ask for permission, and quickly make 2 or 3 exposures. Do what you just did, that's great. In the next video, I'll show you how we created our Thailand 180-degree book. My wife and partner in crime, a piece of ta, also known as phone. By the way, there are still a few copies of our Thailand 180-degree collector's edition available on Amazon. I'll put the link in the description below. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly had fun making it. Give a like if you will. It will help the algorithm so more people can see it. And if you want to see future videos, hit the subscribe button too. Thanks. Bye for now.